Tonight, we explore a seismic shift in global power, played out through beef. In early 2025, China abruptly halted imports of over 150,000 tons of American beef, erasing a $500 million trade flow overnight. The shock rippled from Texas ranches to Nebraska meatpacking plants, leaving contracts canceled and prices tumbling. But as the U.S. door slammed shut, Russia stepped in, swiftly filling the void with beef, backed by new agreements and a shared vision with Beijing. This isn't just about one market, it's a realignment of global supply chains where politics now rivals economics. The implications are profound. International relations, food security, and millions of livelihoods are at stake. We'll trace the timeline from U.S. dominance to collapse, hear from those affected, and reveal how Russia was ready to seize the moment. This is a story of strategy, ambition, and the new realities of global trade. The American beef saga is a case study in how quickly trade relationships can unravel, and how geopolitics now shapes what ends up on our plates. Dependency, diversification, and adaptability are no longer optional, they're survival. Welcome to the Great Beef Reversal. For a few years, American ranchers and Chinese consumers seemed the perfect match. After China reopened to U.S. beef in 2017, demand soared, and by 2024, exports topped $1.2 billion. The U.S. held over 12% of China's imported beef market, a seemingly limitless opportunity. But this growth masked deep fragility. The relationship was always vulnerable to political winds, trade disputes, tariffs, and shifting rhetoric. The 2020 Phase 1 trade deal brought a temporary boom, but also made U.S. agriculture a prime target in any dispute. Beneath the record sales, the U.S. became dangerously dependent on a single, politically sensitive market. American beef's premium status made it both valuable and exposed. Reliance on specific certifications, not open markets, created a critical weakness. Food safety concerns, real or not, gave China leverage to halt shipments at will. When goodwill evaporated in 2025, the entire enterprise collapsed overnight. The golden age was an illusion. Market access is a privilege, not a right. The risks were always there, hiding behind the numbers. The end came fast. In early 2025, after the U.S. imposed new tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, Beijing retaliated, quietly letting export registrations for hundreds of U.S. meat plants expire. Without those permits, American beef was locked out of China. By April, U.S. beef sales to China had plummeted to nearly zero. Over 150,000 tons, worth $500 million, halted or canceled. Shipments already en route were stranded. Officially, China cited regulatory standards, but the timing made the real motive clear: economic pain, precisely targeted. Meanwhile, Russia's supply chain roared to life. In just one quarter, Russian beef exports to China surged 300%, thanks to years of planning and streamlined certification. As U.S. permits expired, Russian producers were fast-tracked. China's broader agricultural assault followed. New tariffs on 700+ U.S. products, impacting up to $21 billion in trade. The message: China had options, and would use U.S. dependency as leverage. The world's largest market wasn't just closed, it was now guarded by a new partner. The U.S. was out, and Russia was in. The gates had slammed shut. Behind the numbers are real people, families and communities blindsided by geopolitics. In Texas, Kansas, and Nebraska, ranchers who built herds for China suddenly lost their main buyer. Prices crashed, forcing many to sell at a loss. "We did everything right but got caught in a political game," says John Miller, a Kansas rancher. The pain rippled outward. Meatpacking plants cut jobs, trucking contracts vanished, and small towns faced economic decline. "It's a domino effect," explains Maria Rodriguez, a Nebraska plant supervisor. "First the orders stopped, then shifts were cut, now my husband's hours are down too." Local businesses, from grocery stores to car dealerships, felt the squeeze. The sense of betrayal runs deep. Decisions made in distant capitals upended lives overnight. These voices reveal the true cost of trade warfare. Behind every statistic is a family, a community, and a way of life at risk. The fallout is personal, not just economic. The heartland is left asking, what now? Russia's rise in China's beef market was no accident. It was a masterclass in strategy. Moscow and Beijing spent years building economic ties and trade infrastructure, insulated from Western influence. In late 2024, a new rail corridor linked Russian beef regions directly to Western China, slashing transport times and costs. By 2024, 95% of China-Russia trade was settled in yuan and rubles, bypassing the dollar and U.S. financial leverage. When the moment came, payments flowed seamlessly through their own financial systems. Russia's government invested over $1 billion to double beef production by 2027, giving producers the confidence to scale up fast. The approach was holistic. Russia also ramped up exports of peas and wheat, sometimes overtaking the US for China. Russia wasn't just a supplier, it was a strategic partner, ready and reliable. The new alliance prioritized stability and trust over pure market economics. The flow of beef became a symbol of a deeper, politically aligned economic bloc. The US-China beef dispute redrew the global agricultural map. US market share in China plunged from over 12% to below 6%, part of a 28% drop in overall farm exports. American producers scrambled for new buyers in an already crowded world market. China, meanwhile, doubled down on supply chain diversification, importing more from Russia, Brazil, and Europe, while boosting its own beef output with state subsidies. The goal: reduce dependency on any one nation, especially the US. Other suppliers struggled too. Argentina faced inflation, Australia battled customs delays. The market grew more fragmented and uncertain. China launched a sweeping investigation into all global beef imports, hinting at new tariffs or quotas to protect its domestic industry. The era of free market food trade is fading. Protectionism and managed trade are on the rise. Every food exporting nation now faces a more unpredictable, politically charged landscape. The rules have changed for everyone. For US beef producers, there's no easy path back to China. The changes are structural. New supply chains, payment systems, and standards are now entrenched. Trade expert Deborah Elms notes, once new infrastructure and certifications are in place, it's nearly impossible for a former supplier to reclaim its spot. US plants would need to recertify with Chinese authorities, who now hold all the leverage. The financial landscape has shifted. China-Russia trade runs on yuan and rubles, not dollars. Russia's direct rail link to China offers speed and reliability the US can't match. The logistics network is now part of China's Belt and Road Initiative, designed to exclude the US. The old trade routes are gone, replaced by new geopolitical realities. Getting back in is a political and logistical puzzle, not just a business deal. Analysts see this as a permanent realignment, not a temporary dispute. Agriculture is now a tool of statecraft, not just commerce. The world has changed, and the US must adapt or be left behind. The American beef saga offers urgent lessons for the world. First, dependency is dangerous. The US bet big on China and lost. Diversification isn't just smart, it's essential for survival in a volatile world. Second, trade is now inseparable from geopolitics. Market access is a tool for leverage, not a given. Third, de-dollarization is accelerating. China and Russia's $245 billion in non-dollar trade weakens US financial power. Businesses must prepare for a multi-currency world and new payment systems. Most importantly, agility is key. The global landscape is shifting fast. Old trade routes, financial systems, and supply chains are being replaced. Those who can pivot, farmers, businesses, workers, will thrive. The beef shock is a wake-up call. Stability is an illusion. The future belongs to the adaptable. Change is the only constant. The lesson: anticipate, adapt, and survive. The future of global trade is more complex and unpredictable than ever. The China-US beef conflict proves the old rules are gone. American agriculture must build resilience, finding new markets and forging broader trade agreements. Policymakers need a new strategy, recognizing that trade, security, and geopolitics are now intertwined. Investing in domestic infrastructure and building coalitions with allies will be crucial. For consumers, this story is a reminder. Food prices and choices are shaped by global forces. Being informed and supporting stable supply chains matters. The world is realigning and food trade is on the front lines. There's no easy way back, only forward, with vigilance and adaptability. From ranchers to policymakers to shoppers, everyone must stay alert and flexible. In a turbulent world, adaptability is the ultimate survival tool.